You ever see someone walk into a room and carry decades of grace on their shoulders? That was Gloria Samuels. She stepped out of a black Lincoln Navigator like she owned every breath of air around her. No designer labels, no diamond-studded handbags, just elegance, pressed seams, clean lines, a wide white church hat with a ribbon that matched her shoes, the kind her late husband used to compliment every Sunday morning. And she was proud of her son Derek, who built an empire from one small warehouse in Trenton into a national logistics giant. Today, he invited her to lunch. Nothing fancy. He said, no big speeches, just a toast, and maybe a few smiles after the deal closed. But the moment she walked up those marble steps to the Greenwich Country Club, everything changed. A woman in a Navy uniform stepped in front of her. No smile, no warmth, just policy deliveries and staff used the back entrance. She said, Gloria blinked. I'm here to have lunch with my son, Derek Samuels. The woman didn't even react. If you're catering or with staff, she said again, use the rear access. It wasn't the first time someone assumed, but it still stung like the first. And before Gloria could respond, a voice cut through the air like broken glass. Well, I suppose they let anyone in these days. Victoria Hathaway pearls tight around her neck. Are we letting cleaning staff dine with us now? One man chuckled. Others looked away. And across the lawn, Derek Samuels had just raised his glass, then froze. He saw it. He felt it. And without a word, he set down his champagne, walked through the crowd, and reached his mother, placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. You okay? She nodded, even though she wasn't. Don't make a fuss, baby. I know you don't want to, he said, but I will. He turned to the staffer. This is my mother, the most important person in this building, and you disrespected her. He didn't yell, didn't need to. The woman looked like the air had left her body. Derek helped Gloria back to the SUV, opened the door, held her hand. She whispered, Don't ruin your moment over me. And he said, You are the moment. Then he walked back up those marble steps, and hours later, he turned boardrooms into battlefields. You see that deal, the one worth $900 million. It was supposed to be signed that afternoon. Every document ready, champagne tower, glowing reporters already whispering. But when Derek returned, he didn't walk to the signing chair. He stood beside it, hands on the back, and said, I want to say something. The room froze. This deal would have changed infrastructure across the nation. It meant everything, but I'm not signing it. The silence hit like thunder. Victoria Hathaway looked up now, her smirk turning. Excuse me, she said. Derek nodded. Excuse you indeed. If there's a concern, we can go back to the table. One executive offered. No, there is no more table. Victoria laughed. It was a misunderstanding. I didn't recognize the woman. That woman is my mother. Derek said. Victoria tried again. Surely no. You knew what you were doing. You said what you meant. Preston. The lawyer cleared his throat. There are legal implications, and Derek said calmly. Then I'll see you in court. Explain to a judge why disrespecting my family was part of your plan. Don't be emotional, Victoria muttered, and that was it. Derek leaned forward. Let me tell you something. I didn't build this company from a corner office. I drove trucks at 3 in the morning. I ran payroll from a folding table. I watched my mother ride buses to clean houses so I could keep the lights on. And when she walks in here, dressed with dignity, and you humiliate her, you humiliate me. He stood. There are deals you lose sleep over not signing. This isn't one of them. And then he walked out. No handshake, no folder, just silence by morning. There was no more silence. A small podcast broke the story. Black CEO walks out of $900 million deal after mother insulted by white billionaire family, and it spread. Forbes, CNBC, Tech Pulse, all covering it. Not because the deal failed, but because of why it failed. Reporters surrounded his New York office, asking, Do you regret it? Do you blame Victoria? He didn't answer. Not yet. Later that day, he held a press conference. No fancy backdrop, just a podium and too many reporters in too small a room. He looked tired, but he stood strong. I didn't cancel the deal because of money. I canceled it because the second you allow disrespect into the room, it spreads. And I wasn't raised that way. I won't build a future on silence. Yes. Victoria said it loud enough for my mother to hear. And some might say, that's not a reason to walk away from a defining deal, but that depends on what kind of company you're trying to define. And then he said it. Respect isn't negotiable, and if we start trading that for contracts, then we've already lost. He stepped away, just like he had the day before. And outside that room, the world felt different. Stories poured out. Former staffers, caterers, housekeepers, sharing their own run-ins with the elite posts, went viral. And Derek, without planning it, had become a symbol. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, the Hathaway family was falling apart, boardrooms in chaos, PR firms scrambling stockholders asking questions. Clinton Hathaway, Victoria's oldest son, finally asked, "Do we need to issue an apology?" Victoria said, "No, I don't apologize to people who overreact." And someone snapped, "You insulted the man's mother in public during the signing, and now you've lost more than just a deal." But Derek, he wasn't watching stock charts. He was back in his office, looking at a photo on his desk. His mother, at a church picnic, in that same white hat. And if you ask him, was it worth it? He'll probably smile, because in the end, he didn't just walk away from a deal. He walked toward something bigger, a future built on respect. You know how being a symbol sounds like glory, until you feel the weight that comes with it. Derek Samuels had become that symbol, the man who walked away from $1 billion for his mother. But symbols attract pressure, and pressure shows up in boardrooms and back channels, some of it quiet, some of it loud. He sat in a glass-walled conference room overlooking Market Street with his core executive team. Some of them had been there since the warehouse days, since they were printing shipping labels by hand. But loyalty isn't always unanimous, and today it wasn't Elliot Trammell. His CFO spoke first. "We need to talk about the next 6 months. Not just this week. We had global infrastructure tied to that merger. You know what that means?" Derek nodded. Calm. "I know we're already seeing legal threats. The Hathaways are drafting breach claims and their lawyers, they're spinning this as personal." Derek didn't flinch. It wasn't personal. It was principle. Julian Ricks, his COO, leaned forward. "Can we afford principle? Right now, we're barely a Series C company. You think the board's not gonna panic?" Derek looked straight at him, then let them. The room went still until Nia Whitlow, head of marketing, spoke up softly. "Derek, I support you, I really do. But you're the headline now. The guy who walked away from generational wealth for his mother's dignity, that's powerful but also risky. You said no to $1 billion because someone insulted your mom." Derek nodded slowly. "I said no to being owned." "I get that," Nia said. "But if you don't control the narrative, someone else will?" Elliot added. "It's already happening. Investors are nervous. I had 2 calls this morning. They want clarity. They want a plan." Derek walked to the window, looked down at the street at a mother holding her child's hand, and all he could see was his own Gloria standing tall on those marble steps in Greenwich, even when the world tried to shrink her. "I'm not going to teach people that power means swallowing everything," he said quietly. "Not in this company, not for a check." Julian sighed. "What if we collapse because of this? Then we rebuild," Derek said. "But at least we don't rot from the inside." No one spoke, but something shifted. Nia nodded. Then Elliot, finally even Julian, gave a quiet shrug. "We'll hold for now." But outside those walls, not everyone was holding as steady, especially those who were counting on the payout. 2 days later, Derek's phone buzzed a message from his cousin, his co-founder Theron Ingram. One line, "We need to talk, face to face." They met at a diner in West Orange, same booth they used to plan the business on napkins and big dreams. Theron was already there, coffee in hand. No smile. "I heard from Monroe Bank this morning. They're pausing our credit line, the one for the West Coast expansion. Derek nodded. Figured they might. You figured Theron's voice sharp. This wasn't just a deal. This was the leap our kids' future, our legacy. I wasn't going to build that future on my mother's humiliation, Derek said. Theron shook his head. You ever think maybe that was her fight to pick? Not yours. Derek leaned in. She wasn't fighting. She was being stepped on. Theron exhaled. This isn't Trenton. This is national. You made that choice for all of us without asking. Now people are saying, you did it for clout. Derek looked right at him. I did it because I was raised not to sell my name for a seat at someone else's table. Theron sat back. You better hope the hero image holds. Derek tossed a 20 on the table. If it doesn't, I'll still sleep fine. But deep down, he knew the storm hadn't hit yet. Because while he stood firm, the Hathaways were regrouping and they weren't playing fair. Back at their estate, a fortress of stone and pride. Victoria Hathaway gathered her family around a long mahogany table. Not a single glass was touched. Her eldest, Clinton, was pacing. Bradley was scrolling nervously. Only the PR manager, Eleanor Wynne, dared to speak freely. We need to issue a statement short, acknowledge what happened, show some regret. Victoria scoffed. What values that woman didn't belong? Eleanor blinked. You just said that in front of your children while I'm trying to save your legacy. Clinton stopped pacing Mom. This isn't about business anymore. Derek struck a nerve. This is cultural. Bradley looked up. They're calling him a hero, reposting his speech like he's a movement, and you haven't even said. Sorry, I won't apologize for having standards, Victoria snapped. Then we're done. Clinton said you lost us the deal. I'm not letting you lose the family business. You're siding with them, she asked coldly. I'm siding with reality, he replied. The room went silent again. Victoria's empire. Her name was no longer untouchable. Eventually, the Hathaway Group released a statement, dry lawyer, written full of empty words. The Hathaway Group regrets the recent miscommunication and remains committed to mutual respect. Derek didn't reply. He didn't need to. He just kept building. Now reporters were digging photos of young Derek making deliveries in the Bronx, quotes from teachers saying he stayed late to read business books, clips of him saying, I don't want to be in their club, I'm building my own house. Even Gloria spoke in a small segment on Morning Update. I didn't ask for attention, but I raised my son to speak when silence costs too much. The host asked, would you have preferred he signed the deal anyway? She smiled. Some money comes with chains and I'm too old to wear chains. That line went viral. While Derek stayed quiet, the Hathaways struck back. Late one evening, his phone rang, a blocked number. Something told him to answer. Mr. Samuels, the voice was gravelly. I'm not calling to threaten. I used to work for the Hathaways. They're planning a countersuit. They're digging through your old filings, trying to spin you as unstable, trying to erase why you walked away. And why are you telling me? Derek asked. Because I've seen them do it before. They destroy, then deny you. Embarrass them in public. They'll try to bury you in private. The call ended, and war had officially begun. Derek called Nia Whitlow the next morning. They're coming, she said without surprise. Victoria doesn't lose quietly. She's going to twist the story, flip the script, turn you from principled to petty. Then let her try. Derek said. But Nia was already working within 48 hours. A new media campaign launched no taglines, just truth. Warehouse workers shared videos, interns talked about mentorship, investors backed his ethics. But the video that hit hardest came from Gloria. Sitting in her small living room, she looked into the camera and said, I didn't raise my son to be a businessman. I raised him to be a man who stands even if it means losing something. It thundered across social media, trended again, and Hathaway's quiet campaign to discredit him started to look exactly like what it was, bitterness. Still, they didn't stop. They leaked documents implying Derek had broken old partnership terms, but the CEO from that deal, Leonard Greer, went public. He walked away because he wouldn't cut driver wages. I wish I'd had that kind of backbone. Another blow inside the Hathaway estate. Victoria was unraveling. Contracts gone. Seats rescinded, honors revoked. Clinton confronted her again. It's not a phase, Mom. It's a reckoning. And it's not fading because you never admitted you were wrong. She sipped her coffee, unmoved. And I won't. Then you're done, he said. Her hands trembled slightly, but she said nothing. Meanwhile, Derek was in his mother's backyard watching her clip basil from a planter, the sun low, soft orange across the grass. He asked, you all right with all this attention? She didn't look up. They don't like when we walk out with our heads high, makes them feel small, so they try to shrink us. He sat beside her. They're still spinning it, still saying, I blew up the deal over nothing. She looked him in the eye. You know, it wasn't nothing, and anyone who says that don't know the cost of respect. He nodded. Theron's still upset. Feels like I took something from the family. Every family's got its storm, Gloria said. But if you bend in the middle of it, what do you pass down? That night, Derek sat in his Jersey City apartment watching news clips, hearing his own voice, sounding more like a press release than a person. His phone buzzed, a text from Leonard Greer. DC Council wants you. They're building a panel on ethics. You'd be leading it. Derek stared at the screen. He never asked for this. He just wanted to build something that lasted. But now he was being asked to build something louder. Next morning, he met with Nia and Julian again. We've stabilized, Julian said, and the noise, it's helping. 3 firms want to partner, because we stood for something. Nia said no because you stood for something. Now they want me to speak to lead. Maybe that's the next chapter. Julian said you already built the business. Now build the voice. Derek picked up a marker, started sketching numbers, plans, a roadmap. Let's scale without them, he said. Let's show the world we never needed that deal to begin with. Nia smiled. Now that's the Derek? I remember. Julian chuckled. Took you long enough to show back up. But Derek wasn't done. He stood in front of the whiteboard, pointed at the calendar, and said, Next week I want to hold something here, not a press conference, a real event, warehouse crew, interns, junior staff, food, music, laughter, remind people who we are. Nia asked, you mean, like a community day? Derek shook his head. No, like a family reunion, the kind where everybody gets a plate, no matter where they came from. But before he could make that happen, a letter showed up, one that had nothing to do with the Hathaways, and still hit him just as hard. It came through regular mail, thin off-white envelope, no return address, just his name typed clean in the center. He didn't notice it right away, didn't open it until late, after the building was quiet, after the crew had left, and the hum of vacuum cleaners echoed down the hall. Inside was a handwritten letter, looped cursive, careful, like the writer took their time. Mr. Samuels, you don't know me, but I know who you are. My father was the groundskeeper at Hathaway Ridge from '85 until he died in '09. He raised me and my sisters on that job, woke up before the sun, never complained, taught us to stand tall even when no one saw us. I watched your story and I cried, not because I was shocked by what happened to your mother, but because for once someone said no and meant it. You reminded me of my father. He didn't have your platform, but he had your spine, just wanted you to know, not everyone forgets where they come from or who they stand for. With deep respect, Camille Pierce. Derek read it twice, folded it slowly, set it down like something sacred. That name, Camille Pierce, it stirred something. He searched his inbox, his LinkedIn, nothing. Later that night, he told his mother about the letter, said she wrote about her father, said I reminded her of him. Gloria thought for a moment. Funny how truth finds you, doesn't matter how it travels. Derek nodded but didn't say much. He didn't need to that letter. It landed in his chest like a stone, not heavy with sorrow, but with meaning. So the next morning, he asked Nia to find her quietly. 2 days later, Nia called, found her teaches 4th grade in Harrisburg. Doesn't use social media, lives with a rescue dog. She didn't expect a reply. I want to visit. Derek said, should I call ahead? No, I'll knock. 2 days later, he stood on a stoop in Harrisburg holding banana bread from a local bakery, feeling something he hadn't felt in a long time. Nervous, Camille opened the door, brown ponytail school district sweatshirt, and when she saw him, she froze. I'm Derek. This is banana bread. I figured you might be tired of folks always wanting something from you. She blinked, laughed soft. Come in before my dog tries to eat you. The apartment was warm. Real on the mantel sat a photo, an older man in work boots. Derek walked up to it. Your father? She nodded. He worked that estate like it was his own. He offered her tea and they sat. She told him about her dad, how he never called the Hathaways, sir or ma'am, how he taught her to read using invoices, how he saved every check he'd have liked you. She said, not because you made it, but because you knew when to walk. They talked for 2 hours. No cameras, no hashtags, just two people sharing something quiet and deep, a bond neither asked for but both carried in their bones. Before he left, she gave him a copy of a photo her father under a tall oak rake in hand, quiet pride in his eyes. For when the world gets loud again, she said, he tucked it into his jacket and drove off. Because sometimes the loudest truths don't come from headlines. They come from letters from oaks, from voices that never had a stage. But life wasn't finished testing him. The call came in soft, a nurse from Capital Care. Nothing urgent, she said. But Gloria fainted at Bible study. They just wanted to be sure Derek didn't hesitate. Left his meeting mid-sentence, drove the turnpike like it owed him time. When he arrived, Gloria was sitting up sipping ginger ale and looking annoyed. I told them I just stood too fast. Don't need all this fuss. But he could see it. The shake in her hand. The weight in her eyes. What did the doctor say, he asked. That I need to slow down, take my iron pills, eat greens, same thing I tell you. He smiled, but it didn't ease the knot in his chest. Doctor. Mei Lin walked in. Young, sharp, kind eyes. Vitals are okay, but we want to run one more test, some pressure fluctuations we don't like. Gloria waved her off. I feel fine. Derek nodded. Run it. Results came back. No crisis, but small warnings, leaky valve, mild arrhythmia, iron issues, not urgent, but not nothing. Later that night, they watched Sanford and Son reruns in her hospital room, and Gloria said quietly, You done good, baby. Did you just call me baby in front of the nurse? I brought you into this world. I get to call you baby. He smiled, but didn't laugh. Not all the way. I'm not done yet. I know, she said. But don't wait too long to live. That hit different. He looked at her. Really looked at the woman who'd never asked to be a story, but became one anyway. I've been thinking about legacy, about silence, about building something that lasts. I want to start a foundation for the drivers, the warehouse staff, their families, not just workshops, real action, health screenings, childcare, tuition support. Gloria smiled. That sounds like you. I want to name it after you. She coughed to hide her tears. You don't need to do that. I do, because you built me. And a few weeks later it launched, the Gloria Initiative. No red carpet, no lights, just a site, a video, and 3 nonprofit partners. And the conversation shifted from anger to action, from resistance to rebuilding. At the first community event, Derek stood under a white tent. Food trucks lined the lot. Kids laughed. Workers smiled. He took the mic. I turned down $900 million. People said I was crazy. But this right here, this is worth more than any check. The crowd clapped, not loud, but deep like family. That evening, as the sun dipped, he looked up and thought of Camille's father, his cousin, Theron, his mother's face on that country club lawn. Everything since that day had led him here. But peace didn't last. Not when the past still had something to say. The message came after a long day. No warning, just a blinking voicemail icon. He tapped it without thinking and froze when the voice played. Derek, it's Dwayne. Yeah. I wasn't sure if you still had this number, but I saw what you did, and I had to reach out. Dwayne, his father's brother, the one who vanished the night of the funeral, 20 years of silence, no goodbye, no explanation. Your mama raised you right. No surprise there. I'm proud of you, and I'm sorry for a lot. If you ever want to talk, this is my number. The message ended. No second call, no text. just a voice from a lifetime ago. Derek stood frozen keys still in hand, mind spinning. He remembered his 13th birthday, hoping for a call, hoping for Dwayne. It never came. Later he poured water, sat at the counter, and played the message again. Same voice, older now, but still him. Next morning, Gloria called. I heard from Dwayne, left me a message too. Maybe he's trying to make peace while he still has time. I don't know if I need peace with him. Sometimes peace ain't for them. It's for you. That line stuck. That evening, Derek called. 3 rings. Then a click. Derek. Yeah, it's me. You sound like your father. I get that a lot. Neither spoke for a moment. Then Dwayne sighed. I ran after your dad passed because you looked too much like him and I was afraid I'd fail you. I didn't need you to succeed. I just needed you to stay. I know. And I'm sorry. They talked for 15 minutes. Not about wounds, but about football. Barbecue life. When they hung up, Derek didn't feel closure, but he felt lighter. Later that week at a team retreat, he mentioned it. Forgiveness isn't approval. It's just refusing to let bitterness take up all your space. People nodded, some smiled, some understood more than they showed. As Derek walked to his car, a young intern jogged up Mr. Samuels. Thank you. My dad always said no one in business stands for anything. You proved him wrong. Derek smiled. No, my mother did. And as he opened the car door, head high, heart clear, he finally understood. Legacy isn't what you leave behind. It's what you live through and what you refuse to let die in silence.